All right.
Hey, everybody.
Sometimes it takes a little while to get the hooker out of the house.
It's like watch.
Let's get this show going, man.
Welcome to the Bleeding Burgundy podcast.
All right, John.
Let's get this show going, man.
Welcome to the Bleeding Burgundy podcast, a Washington Commanders podcast for fans by fans, with your hosts, Jesse Martin,
The Cowboys are finished, you understand me?
John Taman,
Pull down my trousers and do your job.
Scott Hartley,
That was dreadful.
and occasionally Keith Gregg.
So many social engagements, so little time.
And now, your host,
Hey, everybody. I'm John. I am your host, and I'm sitting here in the dark. And welcome to our 5:39 start of the 5:30 broadcast of the Bleeding Burgundy podcast, where today we're going to teach you all about how to podcast because we're really fucking good at it, and we can give you all kinds of tips and tricks.
I bet John
This is
is
amazing.
so fucking irritated. We're starting 10 minutes late.
He will be. He will be irritated to hell, but it's all good, man. I am really enjoying it. I miss you guys every Friday. This makes my week. It's awesome.
Don't go getting gay about it. All right, and that's not to say anything's bad about that, but all
It's
right.
Pride Month, John. Come on. So,
That's right. We will take pride in that. All right. So, hey, man, we got a lot to get to today, so we're not going to spend too much time bullshitting around because we've already done fucked away 10 minutes of this damn show. I swear to God, Scott, the next time you feed one of those women too much fucking alcohol, you're going to have to get them out of the house at least an hour ahead of time because that's just a poor excuse. All right, so we're gonna do something here today because it's June and we're trying to figure out things to talk about. We did have some mini camp this week. We've got some big news today. Jaden Daniels signed his contract, fully guaranteed, right, Scott? You got the numbers on that? Oh wait, before I start, my friend Jesse over there. Look, I've been practicing. I found him on the first try again. Hey,
After about 3 years of doing this, you fucking point in the right direction.
hey, man, right and left
he's got it, man.
means
he's
nothing
got
to
it.
me. To drive on the yellow line and everything's good. So, how are you this week, man?
Yeah, I'm good, man. A little hot today. It's starting to get there. But tired. Glad the week is over with, though. It was a long week, man. My son graduated fucking high school.
Yeah.
Fucking high school.
Unbelievable.
Christ, man.
And congratulations to him as well, Jesse.
Yeah,
Proud
thank you.
Papa and everything. Yeah, I get it, man. It's all
Yeah,
good.
very proud. Very proud. It was a nice ceremony at George Mason University. Went and saw the banner when they went to the final four banner. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, that was
Got
cool.
to
Yeah.
see that. And yeah, so been in DC with in-laws and relatives all week, and got back on Wednesday. Then of course run into a fucking slew of shit at work past 2 days trying to make up for it, and here we are, the weekend.
I thought you didn't work for that section of the maintenance department. I mean, what are you doing cleaning up slews of shit? Isn't that a whole other department?
Hey Brian, how you doing? Appreciate
All right.
it.
And of course, let me go pull something up here because down there at the bottom, our good friend from Barrow and Furnace UK, Scott Hartley. How are you today, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, buddy. Just watched an absolute hammering of Germany versus Scotland, which is quite good. So I've enjoyed that so far in the Euros. Been a busy week. The weather in June, believe it or not, is awful. It's been non-stop rain for 2 days. It's about 13 Celsius, which is about, I don't know, 25, something like that. It's freezing cold. It's not
It's
good at
25
all.
degrees. It's less than Jesus.
I don't know. What is 13? Have a look at that. Google, what is 13C in Fahrenheit? I don't know what that
I think
is.
it's like 50 something degrees.
It might be. It's rubbish anyway. The weather's poor, but no, it's
Yeah,
been
but
all
let's
good.
face
Busy
it, though.
week.
You guys have like 340 days of the year like that, right?
Oh, in here in the armpit of Britain where I am, John. It's it's right off the Irish Sea.
55.4
It's
degrees.
55. Yeah,
So
thank you.
it's always wet and moist and dank where you are. Have you guys ever thought of like getting like a gigantic roll on or something and just dragging it up and down the streets?
Maybe
Since you're in the armpit of the UK.
I was just thinking there, my hedge is probably older than your country, but you know what I mean. It's all good fun. It's all
That's
good
fine
fun.
with that. That's fine with that. I'll tell you what, though, more British dogs have pissed on yours. Anyway, we're going to get to a few different things here. So Jaden Daniels signed a contract today.
I've got his numbers here, John.
Let's hear the numbers. Yeah, let's hear the numbers.
So yeah, he's signed a 4-year slotted 37.75 million fully guaranteed deal that includes 24.3 million signing bonus. So yeah,
good for him.
Well done to the man. And he's not just the only signing, John. All the classes signed now. Every single one of them are signed up, ready to go. So congratulations to this 2024 rookie draft class.
Man, are we one of the first teams to have all their rookies signed, sealed, and delivered?
It wouldn't shock me. We're doing everything right. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, when it comes to winning off seasons, we know what it looks like, and this is what it looks like. All right, just to scare Deuce. Hey, Deuce. All right. Anyway, let's see. We've got something that we're going to do today since it is March. Since it's fucking June. Jesus.
Well, before we get to the 20 question,
yeah, let's do that. Right.
Let's talk about the video. John, did you get a chance to watch the video?
Not the whole Commander's log. I watched parts of it, but I haven't watched the whole thing yet.
Wonderful. I've seen it twice already. I've seen it twice.
So have I.
Is it wonderful? Is it magical?
Glorious.
It's wonderful. Okay.
Look,
that's 2 dicks.
They're like.
It
was awesome. You got a behind the scenes look at the Commander's war room, man. And the best part about it, I thought, was when we did the trade with
I saw that. I did see that, and I am going to watch the rest of it up on the big screen this evening.
That was really cool. And it seems like, I'm like Sheehan kind of poo-pooed on it a little bit, listening to him today. But all teams are doing or a lot of teams are doing this for the fans. And, they were happy as hell, to get Sanders still, just that moment, like their guy, that they tagged, their first 4, I think it was their first 4 players that they drafted had that quote unquote
gold
Commander's gold tag on them.
Yeah.
And they gave out 20 different players throughout this draft class that they had top tier as far as like, what they wanted in players. And you go from Jaden Daniels, Johnny Newton, Mike Sanders, still Ben Sinnott. They got their guys that they pegged, and they didn't have to give up anything to get them. They gained basically, and it was a really smart. It seemed like it was a really smart draft, and it was really cool to get an inside look at it wasn't a yacht. The picks weren't being made from a yacht, and that you saw them work, and you saw how excited they are, and making those phone calls to the draft picks. It was really cool. So kudos to the team for making that production. It was awesome, and I'll probably watch it like 3 or 4 more times.
I think you just took a swap at me.
Jesse, John, did you see the bit I enjoyed the most out of the Commander's log was you got a little bit of insight as to what they had on their board, as you said, with them 20 Commanders bit. Interestingly, George Carmi, and shout out to George, he put it on his Twitter to say, hey, this is what the NFL says is a day 1 starter, a Pro Bowler, a generational talent. At the top of the draft board, it goes from 8 down to 1. And you're looking at who they're picking and who they're taking off the board. And what I really enjoyed was the fact that they were looking at either positional coaches or they were taking coaches who would look after them and saying, you take that one off the board. So Bobby Johnson, for example, took off Brandon Coleman's. Cliff Kingsbury took off Ben Sinnott's one
Joe
off the board. Joe Witt took Sanders off, and you're thinking, this is like including everybody in there. What I also enjoyed was, obviously, this is the first time Josh Harris has ever done a draft in the NFL. And it was interesting watching him reading through the sheet, looking at these players that clearly they'd earmarked out. He's flipping through an A4 spreadsheet, almost going, right, okay, who's this guy?
Scott's probably touching himself. Look at that list.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love an Excel spreadsheet.
Look at that list.
Give me an Excel spreadsheet. Come on.
Right. Scott's like, oh, look at that list.
But no, I love Randy off South Park as well. That's cool. But no, in all seriousness, it's like you watch him and he's saying, oh, so what do you think of this guy? And and they're talking to him saying that this guy's exactly what we want. He can play two positions. When they were talking about Sanastril, saying he's played wide receiver, he's played DB, and you're like, okay, I can see where Josh is what he's trying to get. You got DQ answering the phone to Cincinnati. That was quite interesting. And then Adam Peters telling Tennessee to bugger off when we were going to take Sanastril. Basically, like, yeah, sorry, we're picking here.
Yeah, it was pretty cool how they got over on Dan, because Dan was on the phone when all that was going on.
Yeah.
So he didn't know what was being said. And so he's like, yeah, they're taking Michigan. And you kind of saw Dan like, oh, shit. But they're taking the defensive tackle, and then seeing Dan light up because, he was so giddy about Sanders. He kept saying, I wanted to coach this guy ever since we left that
pro day,
the pro day. So yeah, it was really, really, really cool to see.
I'll tell you what, I haven't watched it yet. It's earmarked for me tonight.
You really need to. You really.
I'm going. Yeah, I've got it set up for this evening.
And do you know what was also really good, John, on it when you watch it at the end? I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but actually listening to what the rookies were saying.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It was their first interviews, and you're listening to them saying, "Hey, this is a place that's building its culture. This is a place I want to be." Luke McCaffrey sitting there saying they were on my radar. I knew they were going to call me. I knew this is where I wanted to be. I'm like, hang on a minute. This is pretty cool because draft picks are draft picks. And they, as you said before, John, when you interview any young player, they're always going to say the sound bites. They're always going to say, we're working hard. We're doing the right thing.
Right.
But you got more of an insight into the person that we're picking as well and why we're doing that, which was really, really good. Great series, great production work. Hats off to the Commanders for putting that out there because I tell you what, boys, I was hyped. I was like, this is good. This is going to set me off for 6 weeks. I'm quite cool with that. I hope they release one more of camp anyway.
Scott went through that spreadsheet in slow motion.
Oh, but I was looking at the board going, where are they picking people? And you saw that Daniels, when they picked Daniels is off the board, it was literally the very, very top one.
Right.
And I was like,
that was their guy all the way. I tell you what, even without seeing this, I thought the draft was masterful anyway. Because we knew they got the players that they targeted, and we look at the players that they got and the leadership skills that come with them. And so far, they've been everything as advertised. Now, granted, it's June, we're in minicamp, but when you listen to Jaden Daniels talk, I mean, the guy says every right thing, but it's not just saying it. He does it. He doesn't talk about what he's going to do. He talks about being humble right now that he's trying to learn.
Very mature, very humble. Absolutely.
And you see this in all of them. Sanastril is a freaking leader from the word go. Every single one of them. And I'm very pleased with it. I can't wait to watch this thing tonight. As a matter of fact, that's what I was doing, and they made me come in here and do this damn podcast, which is why we were late. So
another thing that was really cool is Josh Harris being in the room, and I know people were like, "What? He shouldn't be in the room."
Sure,
he was there.
Sure, he should.
Like he was like a sponge, just taking it all in, asking questions. About this. They brought Cliff Kingsbury, and it's funny that Adam calls Cliff Cliffy.
That was cool.
Hey, Cliffy. Hey, Cliffy. It's kind of Anyways, but. He asked a question. He was like, "Is that going to be out? Is he going to be able to play with Ertz?" And they're like, "Yeah, man, this guy can play all over the place." So he's there just getting information. He's not there, trying to be a scout like Dan Snyder was. Like, oh, you need to pick this guy. He was just there absorbing, this first draft in this brand new franchise, and it was really cool to see because he was just as giddy, not knowing Jack Dick. But just as giddy as everybody else was in that draft room.
Where was Jack Dick on their board?
I think he was like,
could you see him on
third round? Yeah, third round.
Another bit, Jesse, to your point there was when you're watching it and you're hearing, the phone being passed around to various draft picks. You can see it's like Dan Quinn's, masterful at doing it. He's giving you the rah-rah speech. Adam Peters is I'm the nicey GM, but we're picking you. We're pleased to see you. Then you've got Josh Harris, who is a bit awkward to start off with, I thought, on a couple of the phone calls. But then when you've seen it on like day 2, by the time it got to the end, he was like, no, I know what I'm doing now. I know how I'm talking to these players, and I thought, yeah, you're coming across as a guy that's like, okay, I've got this franchise. I know what I'm doing with it. But look, if you spent $6 billion on a team, you're going to want to understand exactly what's going on.
The age of the owner that just sits around and does nothing is long since past, and the ones that do that, they don't do jack shit, nothing. I mean, even that dopey looking idiot out in Las Vegas, he's involved. All right, and involved doesn't mean he's making any decisions about the draft. He's already obviously shown that he can bring in the right people and listen to them. All right, everything that we've seen all the way up until now here in minicamp is 100,000% positive as far as I'm concerned, other than the kicker who's gone and 2 feathers on a shirt, which
one more interesting thing of note. It was funny how many times the word fuck was used in that production.
Yeah.
They were fucking this and fucking that, fucking badass. This motherfucker is going to be fucking, I mean, obviously it was all like bleeped out, but it was, I found it pretty.
This is how people
hilarious.
talk, This is how
it's
people talk.
Professional sports. That's how people talk
Yeah.
all the time. You've got to get your point across in some ways. And
This fucking dude is a fucking dog, man.
Right.
It's like that
What else are you gonna say? This fella over here, I'll tell you, he's kind of grouchy. No, that doesn't fucking work. You gotta. He's a fucking dog. At work, I don't talk like that. But hey, when I come off of work, you're in a job where you can. Sometimes I can. I deal with Marines and sailors, and sometimes you can. So, but I always wait for them first. But the fact of the matter is, man, when I come in this show, I say fuck a lot. I mean, I fuck it, fuck it. As far as I'm concerned, and I just got to get all the fucks that I held on to today out, and it's just timing. All right. So we did have some mini camp. I'll tell you one thing. I did post this up the other day. I am always laughing at, the 5-second mini camp video. You can't see anything. And that's true. You can't really see anything, except sometimes you can see tiny little things like footwork or something like that. And, the thing I note when I watch Jaden Daniels throw a pass,
it's pretty.
I don't care if it's against air and there's no defenders. The freaking ball is the tightest spiral I've seen thrown in this city in forever. I mean, that thing doesn't wobble a bit. His accuracy is terrific with, not being under fire. But, I mean, he hits on the run. He hits pretty much everywhere. So I've heard this week that in some of the minicamp practices, they had a little rocky bits in the red zone, which is...
should be expected.
Of course. So, and, of course, Quan Martin, future freaking all-pro.
Great pick. Yeah, great pick.
Future all-pro. All right, so was there anything else about minicamps that stood out to you guys this week? Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, there's a bit of news actually, and it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it is a little bit of news. Is that off the field moves, front office moves again? Is Houston Texans director of team development Dylan Thompson is apparently joining us. He's come for a similar role, and I've got his little resume type thing here in front of me. CJ Stroud and the other first round pick, Will Anderson Jr., basically said they wouldn't be the people they are if it wasn't for him. So his direct quote is, I know he's going to be mad at me for this, but oh my gosh, Dylan is one of the best human beings that I've ever met in my life. There's a ton of people, great people in this organization, but DT is the main reason I am where I am. And that's high endorsements from both rookies of the year. And this guy's obviously coming in to look after the players. So getting that little 1%, that little 0.5% that makes a 1% to make things different is good off the field, in my opinion. And quite clearly, Josh Harris has got deep pockets and he's happy to pay with the best people around him. So
you got to getting that edge somewhere. Like we heard all off season, you can only do so much with the salary cap. You got to try to find the best players that you possibly can, within those, constraints of what is it, $250 million or something like that. But there's other ways to better your team, and bringing in people like him and then all the others, that they've, from Girardi to the coaching staff to everybody else that they've brought in, Eugene Shen, etc. You're trying to find, shortcuts to excellence in that way.
Not even so much that. I think that what they've done is they've laid a foundation for the future in terms of that the short terms to success, the shortcuts to success. Sure, everybody wants success fast, but as this success builds, they want to keep staying on top of it. And I think that they've built the staff now. We were talking about this earlier in the offseason about what they've got with their coaching staff. You've got an offensive coordinator, and then you've got another offensive coordinator that works with the quarterback, so that when one of them gets hired away because we go to the Super Bowl and win next year, then you've got somebody coming right up. And it's the same thing on the defense. And in the front office, it's no different. You are a sum of your parts, and if you are good parts, you'll be a good team. And I firmly believe that.
The NFL's, especially in the front office, is a constant wheel of motion. Man, people come in, people go out.
Yeah,
but what's really cool about that is it seems like Harris and company are getting people that seem secured where they're at
from good organizations,
like doing like lateral moves.
To come over.
But back on the mini camp, what I found pretty interesting is basically Jaden Daniels. This mini camp was all about Jaden Daniels, basically.
Sure.
And how tight he's getting with the team. It seems like everybody's got good things to say about him. I think he's very mature, and who knows how long it's going to take him to master the playbook. But I think he's got a good step forward in building trust with his teammates.
Yeah.
I mean, even him and Sam Hartman, they're really close.
Yeah,
and they haven't, known each other all that long.
Well, because if you know Sam Hartman, you're bound to pick up some hot chicks that just fall off on the side.
That's true.
They just probably shake out of his beard, right?
But listening to Terry glow about this kid, and like, yes, Terry said some stuff last year about Sam Howell, he throws a good ball, but I think it's a little bit different this year. He sounds more certain, if that's
it's a sum of the parts. They're buying into everything. All right, they're buying into everything. And really, go ahead, Scott. Finish up with mini camp so we can get on to our 20 questions.
Yeah, no worries.
We're going to touch a lot of this stuff.
Two points really. The first point is that I noticed outside of Jaden Daniels is we'll finish with Jaden Daniels. Sorry, we'll stick on that theme. His press conference was actually really good, and there was a couple of insightful bits from his press conference that I picked up. I think it was a question from JP Finley who said, what's it like being a superstar quarterback? And he pretty much cut him off immediately and said, I'm not a superstar. I'm still a rookie.
That's the maturity I'm talking about right there.
Straight in. And the other one is the fact that he warms his hands up with a basketball, which I thought was quite
We saw that at the combine.
Sam Hartman. Yeah, and you saw that with Sam Hartman as well when they were coming out. He was bouncing a basketball, and you're like, okay, this is the thing that you've done for a long time then. And he said he'd done that for forever. He's also coming in the morning at 5:45 with Luke McCaffrey. They've started doing that since Luke picked him up on it, and he said he has a walkthrough in the bubble to get his mind right, and then also studies a bit of film before he goes out onto the fields. And then speaking of Luke McCaffrey, that's where I wanted to go next, really. That was my next point, was he's been taking a lot of handoffs out the backfield.
Saw some video of that.
Anthony Lynn. Probably this Deebo Samuel type role is kind of almost where they're probably calling a few plays or putting him into that sort of position. The slot receiver can go wherever you want him to go, but at the same time, he's going to be building almost like an extra.
What we wanted with Curtis Samuel.
That's exactly it. The Curtis Samuel type role is, I think, what we're going to see from Luke McCaffrey, which is a good thing to see, especially if you've got them genes.
Definitely.
And then you hear from him and he says, "Hey, I'm going to work with my brother in the off season."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's not, these guys are going to go on holiday. Terry's going to go and do a bit of fishing. The D linemen are probably going to have a bit of a chill out. Offensive line are probably going to do the same. You know that Jaden Daniels is going to be working hard back home. And then when you hear, I'm going home to work with my brother, that's not going to be an easy 6 weeks off.
No, not at all.
That's
not
for sure.
All. Yeah, everything I think right now is positive. Everything. And I think and in all honesty, and I'm going to sound really homer here, but in everything I hear about Jaden Daniels, what we've seen out of Jaden Daniels, and again, we've had people that want to know, why is he such a flash in the pan that came up through LSU like that? Is it the players around him? No, I think it's that VR training, man. That dude really friggin' took to that, and he earned what he did, and you can see how. And it's not necessarily, it's fun. And I think that the biggest thing that will trip him up would be injury, and he can't pitch, so no baseball. We're gonna have to get rid of that.
That was funny, Brian. He said Daniels cannot throw into a trash can, but I think it's the trash can that's getting cut, so it's all good.
The fact of the matter is we for the last 23 years, outside of a few guys like Terry, have watched nothing but trash cans trying to catch passes around here, and we should be done tired of throwing to them.
Yeah.
Well, you're not talking about our linebacker. You're not talking about our linebacker core for the last 2 years.
No.
And that Quan Martin play that Scotty
Unreal.
brought up, unreal. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. In the game, if he managed to do that, that would be fucking awesome. That would be absolutely awesome.
Play of the year.
But the hand coordination to bring that thing in behind his back like that—that's something that you want, and you also want to see him be able to break up that pass. So that's good stuff. All right, we're going to do 20 questions. We've come up with a bunch of questions about the offseason. We're going to figure out whether or not we're going to work with it. We're going to see. Can you hear me while this is playing? Because sometimes this shit cuts us off. All right, because I do like the fact that we have some nice, snappy music here to do this with. So let's get started. We are going to start with this question right here. Will Cole Turner do enough to make the final 53? Jesse, will we begin with
It's going to be tough, man. I think, with the addition of Ben Sinnott and Zach Ertz, I think it's going to be him or Amari Rogers, because I think Yankoff as well.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
He's doing really good. So
yeah, okay. He's been flashing.
Really, really good reports with Yankoff, and I really hope Yankoff makes a team because I want that jersey.
It's just fun saying Yankoff.
It is.
Six doesn't go into 3 or 4. That's the point, Jesse, isn't it? And I mean, if you're going to stick with 4 tight ends,
I think you got to go 4 tight ends because you got Bates too.
That's true. So for me, it's going to be Bates is making the team. Ertz is definitely making the team, and Sinnett's definitely making the team. There's 3. So then you have 3 players fighting for one role.
Right.
Potentially, yeah.
I mean, I think you go 5, maybe, but you're going to take away from, you're going to take away from the offensive line. You're going to take away from
defensive back.
Here's the thing. Okay, so granted, I don't pay attention to it as much as you guys do. I'm not in a position where I can listen to as much as you guys do. But I have not heard Cole Turner's name yet this offseason, other than where's Cole Turner and what's he been doing? I heard this week they threw a couple of passes to Rogers, that they had it out there in 11-on-11 drills. I've heard everybody's name but his. So
I've heard like JP Finley say Cole Turner's doing what Cole Turner does every offseason and catching everything. So
and the other thing as well, Jesse, is Yankoff is the guy that's making the flashes, that's being talked about a lot by all of the local media reporters. If he's going to do something either as a H-back or as a tight end, we don't know where he's going to potentially play. As an undrafted free agent, this is going to be 2 priority potentially picks that you're going to have to look at. And that's why I fucked up on my own show last night about talking about stashing players on practice squads, because any of them 3 get cut, they're going to go to elsewhere. They're going to go elsewhere.
Oh, sure.
They're definitely going to be snapped up.
The thing about Cole Turner is, like what I remember JP saying is, like, he does well every offseason. He disappears during games. So how do you?
Well, because they don't even put him out there. They didn't even dress him for like 14 games last year.
Unreal.
I mean, they could do some gymnastics. They could list Sinnott like they do Juszczyk as a fullback, H-back or something like that. Who knows? It depends. But that's a good question.
I think it is a good question, especially since you asked it and you promoted yourself there. That's a nice job there. Very good. And actually, to be quite honest, I think at this moment right now, you'd have to say he's the odd man looking in, and it's simply because of that. If he can't get on the field when Ron's here, I can't see him getting on the field with this crew that knows what they're doing. I mean, as far as whether or not any of them get cut and snapped up, I'd have to say, show me. I am so fucking down on practically everybody that crew brought in here. All right, I'm hoping to see success out of him, but we always fall for what JP was talking about here. This guy that catches everything in off season, and then when you say he disappears, that's a fact. I mean, I don't know if it was 14 games last year, but the dude seemed to never be activated. Yeah. So, and he wasn't hurt. I know he was hurt the year before.
Yeah, his rookie year.
So yeah, I think he's the odd man out, and that he's even saying that what you say. There's 3 going into 1. I'd have to look at maybe Armani Rogers too, just simply out of. And honestly, have we given John Bates a second contract? I don't think we have.
No, not yet.
Okay, so because
he's still got time left. Though.
If Rogers can catch, better than Bates and Block? I haven't really seen anything out of Bates that makes me jump up and fucking down and say, "Oh no, this guy's got to be on the team." I mean, everybody talks about his blocking, and it's just as far as I'm concerned.
All right, next question.
All right, next question. What has been the biggest success of the offseason? And I do believe I know that it's Scott's list. Everybody loves that. All right, Scott, go first. What's been the biggest success of the offseason?
The biggest success is really hiring Adam Peters. That's as simple as that. There's nothing more than that. The way he's assembled this coaching staff, obviously I did not, and I was initially didn't warm to DQ coming in. I was like, is it one of them retreads? But let's look at what you've got, what you could have won. It's always great having hindsight in 2020, but let's be like a prize, like a game show host here and bring it out. Look at what you could have won.
Look at what you could have won.
Exactly. Bring out Ben Johnson, and there's no way in the world, or even McDonald's, that they would have established this staff that we've got here now.
Let me see a quick show of hands over here in the chat of how many people want Scott to say that again as a game show host. I see 5-10 hands. Scott, please.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, look at what you could have won. Bring it out. It's a brand new speedboat, and you live in suburbia.
Right. See, now Ben Johnson, what he's thinking is, I should have gone for the guy. I'm going for the big prize, meaning I want to pick up a Super Bowl team that has a coach retire.
Exactly.
That's the only way he's going to get a job, because if you can't come in here when you know you've got the second overall pick, potentially a game-changing quarterback on your hands in Jaden Daniels, who you probably would have taken. I mean, you may have took Drake May, we don't know. But even so, you had your pick of quarterbacks in a quarterback-driven draft. You can't come in here and do a job, then you can't back yourself. So you know what, Ben Johnson? Fuck off.
Fuck off, Ben Johnson. All right, let's see. So, Jesse, what was your thoughts on this particular question?
I mean, pretty much the same. I mean, the hires of Peters and Quinn, man. I think that's a perfect tag team right there. I really do think Quinn was the right hire.
I do too.
After it's all said and done. The staff that they've brought in, I think it's top notch.
Yeah.
And the team that they're building. So I think that's those two hires are the biggest success of the all season.
I don't see how you can see it in any other way. So I'm not going to even try. I think you're 100% right, because that's what I've said all along, that this is what's giving me my optimism for this season. And when I say optimism, it's not necessarily just for 2024. Optimism going down the road. What they're putting together here, I think, is a solid foundation. Sustainable success with outstanding teachers as coaches, not just a bunch of guys that are going to say, "Here's 4 playbooks, go learn them and figure it out." So, and are going to storm the Capitol. So, I think that everybody would agree Peters and Quinn are the best moves of the offseason. All right, so we're going to just move along from that one there. We're going to go to this one. Which position group concerns you the most? And I'm going to start this time because it's my turn. I would say that it's probably the offensive line. You just you have to hope for success because, frankly, based on everything we've seen up to this point, I think Jaden Daniels has everything it takes to be able to be a successful quarterback as long as he doesn't get hurt. As long as the offensive line can protect him and they can keep that blind side of his clean. Keep that pocket for him there. Don't get people down around his knees scrambling around. That's, I think, the biggest fear, and that's where my fear is on that offensive line. What about you, Jesse?
I see your O-line, and I'll raise you cornerback.
Cornerback.
I think cornerback is the absolute biggest concern by far.
By far.
It's not even close. We're coming into the season, and I'm sorry, Scouts, you're 1,000% wrong.
Scouts.
Benjamin St. Juice is your number one cornerback on this team. That's not good. It's
what?
Not good.
Who said that?
It's on the depth chart. Why wouldn't it be?
Oh, it's the unofficial depth chart.
But it's unofficial and it's official. St. Juice is you bring in a journeyman that
Mike Davis.
He's not a cornerback one. Nowhere close. You're going to put Forbes above Benjamin St. Juice?
Nope.
No. Sanders still is a
rookie.
Corner.
He's a rookie.
Benjamin St. Juice is our cornerback 1. That is a problem because behind St. Juice, there ain't much.
There ain't much.
So I think we were coming to last night, what we were saying on the other show is we're in agreement with you, Jesse. What we're saying is the cornerbacks are awful.
Yes,
and I agree with
saying.
you, but I genuinely think that Mike Davis is CB1. I don't mean to be funny. I do because just don't think Benjamin St. Juice is good enough. I agree with you in the fact that the depth chart is there. But
tell me if I'm
not. On paper, where do you go? Because we haven't got anything there. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and we can't fix everything in an off season.
Rome wasn't even built in a week. But here's the other thing. Am I wrong in remembering that St. Juice was better outside than he was inside when he moved in last year?
St. Juice played outside pretty much.
He played outside all season.
I thought he played. I thought he played the inside.
No, he played inside the year before, and then they moved out. He moved outside,
and he was very good in the first year.
St. Juice played better the year before, but he slowly but surely went down a hill in 2022, and then 2023 fell off a fucking cliff.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a very big fan of him.
Now, how much is that? Is coaching?
It's got to be. This is the thing. I can't ever put. These coaches were terrible, and they picked him.
Mm-hmm.
So who the hell knows what the hell you have there, and
the
whether it's coaching or whether it's him, because they're responsible for every aspect of it.
And to me, go ahead.
No, you go, Jesse. Go on.
The reason why I picked cornerback over offensive line is because we actually did work on the offensive line this off season. We brought in.
Yeah, I mean, we worked on it last year too.
We brought in the gorilla from Kansas City, Argaletti.
Argaletti.
And then we go ahead and draft, which I believe is our future left tackle, and Brandon Coleman. So I think they did well, as much as you could kind of hope for on the offensive line. Now we're gonna have to deal with Wiley for a year, maybe with new coaching staff and better scheming that will help him a little bit out too, because he was just awful last year. Mm-hmm. Going back and looking at numbers and looking at some of the games, Wiley did play a little bit better as the year went on, but he was awful that first part of the year. I didn't think Wiley was good. I thought they were going to keep Leno and get rid of Wiley, but obviously Leno's injury was a little bit, it was too much to overcome as far as him coming back, and Leno may not even play ever again.
That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
All right, you're answering questions that are further down the line there. So Scott, who is your most problematic position group? Are you going with cornerback as well?
I'm agreeing with both of you. I mean, to your point, I think cornerback, yes. To your point, John, offensive line. The only issue I have with offensive line, I mean, you've seen, we were all on the stream. My head was falling off in the second round when we hadn't took a lineman. It's just left tackle that's the issue. It's not the rest of the line. I think Badass or Biadish is well.
Yeah, I hope that's a good signing.
I think Algretti is a starting left guard caliber. And I think at left guard, you can get away with it a little bit. I mean, we had Chris Paul playing there, for crying out loud, who was awful. I think Trent Scott isn't that bad a tackle, but he's not amazing. And then obviously, we've been spoiled at left tackle for years. And then at right tackle, yes, Wiley was a turnstile for the first part of the year, but you are correct in what you're saying. The last 4 games, Jesse did get a lot better. But it's one of them where
Deluxe. You should be.
It's one of them where I agree with both of you, and I think both are positions of concern. But I think corner is more concerning, especially with the season Emmanuel Forbes had and the regression of Benjamin St. Juice.
I'm kind of leaning on the fact that coaching is going to help Forbes out a lot. And maybe he will start to live up to that first round billet that he got. So, all right, moving on.
So yeah,
we got a lot of questions to go. So let's try to run through these.
Yeah.
All right. So who will be our breakout player? Scotty, go ahead. Who's that?
Our breakout player will be Sandstrom as a rookie. He will be. I think he's going to be unbelievable. I think he is going to be not quite. I think he's going to be in the running for defensive rookie of the year.
Ooh, that's nice.
That's high praise.
I really do.
I think he's gonna be good too. They were talking about Sanistril on the Commander's log as possibly playing slot receiver too.
I saw that. Yeah.
I like it. I think our breakout player is going to be McCaffrey. I just like the way he comes to work. I think that there's a spot right there wide open for him to be able to step in and start. And, I think a good short-term or short to intermediate receiver is a good friend for a quarterback that's young.
I'm going to step away from the rookies, and I'm going to go Jahan Dotson.
Nice.
I think Jahan Dotson is going to have not only a comeback season, because he didn't have a good season last year, but I think he's going to break out. I think they're going to keep him quiet during camp, and he's going to be one of those players that is going to come out of nowhere and be that. I have a feeling they're might move him inside a little bit more, put McCaffrey outside and flip flop them. But I think he's going to be one of those type of not only gadget type of players like Curtis Samuel, maybe not line up in the backfield, but be that slot type, but also can go outside and I think
he's a threat from anywhere inside the line.
I think Dotson's going to have a big year.
All right, how about you, Scott? Oh, you already said.
I went Sandstril. Yeah.
All right. You know what? I haven't really given this much of a thought. I think Jahan Dotson's a really good pick there.
You said Luke McCaffrey.
Oh, I said McCaffrey. God damn it! I'm fucking old. All right,
but I still think while we're there, I think Brian Robinson's going to have a very good season as well.
Me too.
I thought he had a really good season last year. I wouldn't be surprised by him.
I'm one.
The rest of the country, yeah.
I'm one pick away from being for my dynasty startup league. I'm playing with Tony and our buddy Nate Coleman. And I'm going to pick Brian Robinson. Hopefully no one's listening. But, yeah, I got it's the 11th round, 8 hours per pick. We started this draft fucking 3 weeks ago.
Jesus. All right. So do we sense an actual culture shift or are we just fanboying again? Let's go. Just as simple. Yes or no? Jesse.
Yes, absolutely.
Scott.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes. This is an actual culture shift. This is what you want to see. People want to come here. And it's when we heard about culture shift with Ron and about how respected he was around the league, that's great, but it didn't translate into much else. And I mean, we know there was a lot of adversity in his life and all that kind of stuff like this, but this is football, and these people want to come here to be part of football now. They want to come here because they don't just respect the guy; they think they can win here.
I know time's tight, but it doesn't matter either way. I'm gonna mention it to go back to your point there, John, on this. I think also the media has given us a bit of an uplift here as well because of the coaching staff, because of the hires off the field. They now see this as a sensible, grown-up franchise. And we're actually getting a bit more, not attention, that's not the right word, but we're getting attention for the right reasons, shall we say.
I'm telling you, the NFL wants us to succeed right now. They are so ready to shine us up. All right? If we can pull out they do. They want to shine us up. I tell you right now. All right, well, speaking of the meteor, let's see here. Mike Clay of ESPN ranked the Commanders linebacker core #1 overall. How close to reality can that be? And all right, so my God, I mean, are we even asking this question? How fucking weird is this?
That's why I brought it up. I brought that,
you did
the question to the table. I'm like, when I saw that, I was like, what?
Seriously,
listen. Let me go first since I brought this question up.
Please go ahead.
I love what we did at linebacker.
We did something, anything.
Frankie Louvu, I mean, probably one of the greatest linebackers to play of the past century. I think in Bobby Wagner.
Oh, I thought you meant Frankie Louvu. I was about
no.
Say, you are cut off, Mister.
And then I just can't be. I'm not there yet, guys. I'm really? Not. I'm talking maybe top half of the league. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So I would go and.
I'm not saying top 5. I can't do.
I would say the ceiling is top 5. I would say top 10. Yeah, definitely. I think we're probably there, especially if you add in McGee and Jamin Davis as well.
I like McGee. I really do like McGee.
The best linebackers in this division are at the 49ers. No doubt about it.
Yeah, in the conference.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Fred
well, I
Warner
mean,
is an absolute animal.
Yeah, Fred Warner is fucking great.
Yeah.
well, you know, his first name begins with F, and that means fuck him. So anybody else out there whose
If
name
this was
begins
Wagner 5 years ago when he still had his
Oh yeah,
cover skills,
100%.
yeah. I'd
Oh,
say
dude, I don't think
sure.
I don't think it matters right now. I mean, he's not as fast as he was, but I think his mind makes up for it, and what he'll be able to do with these other players that have been able to come in here and lead
Indeed.
makes a big difference. Now, number one overall, you know me, I have been crying about the linebackers forever. And honestly, this entire comment, this is me. All right, Scott over there, he's like, oh, that feels pretty good there. Oh. All right. So anyway, but the fact that we're even in this conversation now,
Yeah.
and look, we've all bitten at the apple, man. We've seen free agents come in here and we go, oh, that's going to transform everything. But it's not just the free agents. For one, it is Bobby Wagner, and he's not just a player who's trying to cash in. He's out there running special teams drills. All right, he's showing up and doing things that a guy of his stature,
Set an example,
right, doesn't have to do.
And that's what he was brought in here for, to set an example. And,
right,
and that's where this goes back to kind of that last questions about a culture shift.
Well, that's the thing. Ken Norton makes a big difference.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Jack Del Rio isn't here anymore. We got coaches here now that know what the hell they're fucking doing. And Ken Norton knows how to take a linebacker crew and run them through a brick wall. So I don't know that I think Scott's about dead on with saying that number 10 is our floor, but I'd say that's about where I'd expect us, 10 to 15. And that's bottom.
I think they're going to rack up. I think they could probably be one of the highest.
They can be good.
They
can be really good.
In the NFL.
Look at Bobby Wagner last year. He was the top tackler in the entire NFL.
Yeah,
like 193 tackles or something like that.
And Luvu wasn't
Crazy
that
number.
far behind. I got all the confidence in the world of Luvu. The one thing that scares me just a little bit, and it's nice. Look, Lennon Fletcher was Bobby Wagner's age when he came here.
Yeah,
he
played for another 4 years.
7 years. 7 years.
Yeah, it was 7.
Okay, 7 years. Okay,
7 years. I don't expect that amount of productivity, I guess, for at least for that long. And we signed him for a 1-year contract. I think we signed Fletcher for, I think, a 2-year contract at first, and then he signed another contract. But he still has shit in the tank. And Luvu's, I think, is just starting to scratch the surface. He was stuck in Carolina. I mean, I think he went undrafted, didn't he, from the Jets?
I think so.
And then before going into Carolina. So he's now starting to get, and being paired with Wagner, I think is only going to help Luvu.
Oh, absolutely.
Tremendously.
Absolutely, because he still does make mental mistakes. I was watching some film that Jamal had put out this week on the Trap or Dive podcast that showed some of his errors. And we're not getting a complete player here, but we're getting a player that can be complete, and we're giving him guys that can teach him how to be that.
Then you got Jamin Davis, he's
been playing down down with his hand in the dirt.
Yeah, so that's going to be an interesting aspect to this linebacker.
Got Jeremy Chin that can slide in and out. Yeah, it gives us all kinds of options.
And we're not mentioning our draft pick either in McGee, who is a big dude, and he's fast.
Yeah, sideline to sideline assassin. Yeah. That's what we've needed. All right, who will be the primary kickoff returner? Scotty, go ahead. Who's that?
Well, our primary kickoff returner.
Good question.
It's not going to be Emmanuel. It's not going to be Emmanuel Forbes, and I don't think it's going to be. It's going to be who else? Jahan Dotson.
What
so
if you
it might be someone like Kaz Allen.
They like him.
I don't think
Crowder.
I don't think Kaz is going to make the team. I think Crowder is going to be our punt returner.
Yeah.
This kickoff thing is a really it's baffling me right now because teams are doing.
You are baffled.
Teams are doing different things right now, and I think this is going to be a trial and error type thing. And that's why I think they're putting so many different pieces back there. And it would not surprise me one bit if Jahan Dotson's back there. It wouldn't surprise me if Eckler, or it would not surprise me if Forbes is back there. I'm being straight up honest.
I tell you what, Tyler Owens is another one who's been taking kickoffs, and he is the flat earther guy who had a perfect 10 RAS score. He's very quick.
You just love that. You mention that like every single week. You have
because he's amazing.
He's amazing on a
really
score.
good talent. He's a really good
amazing
talent.
that he doesn't believe that.
The amazing thing is if he's catching a kickoff, does he think it's coming at him on a flat plane, a two-dimensional plane, or does he actually think he's looking up into a void? All right, so I wonder, can you put like Deron Payne back there?
I was thinking Jamin Davis.
You get put Jamin Davis back there with Emmanuel Forbes. Get Forbes to catch it. Davis pick him up and then just throw him like a javelin down the field. Can you do that?
Well, remember with the new kickoff rules, you can have two people.
Well, that's what I was just going to bring that up.
I think you have to have two back there.
Jeremy Reeves was on the Kevin Sheehan show yesterday, and they had a long conversation about this new kickoff. And yes, they are going to have two returners.
Absolutely. You can, I was talking about this last week when we put Scott G to sleep, is about you're going to have to think about how to defend this, right? Because you've got guys lined up at the 40, and you have to have 10 guys on that line. The only guy behind them is the kicker, right? I mean, unless there's a windy day and somebody's got to go back and hold the ball. So think about it. If you kick left or you kick right, half that squad's got to transverse the entire field to get over there to try to make the play. So if you've got two returners back there, man, you can open up some shit. You got to think that they're thinking up some gadgets where they can just throw back across the field. I mean, it just seems to me that there's a lot of ways that this can pop wide open for a lot of points, man. And I'm telling you again, Tom, I want my points for freaking kickoff returns. And I'm going to tell you, this year, Tom's going to have one of his wide receivers return a kickoff for a touchdown, and he's going to think about changing the rule.
Reeves also said expect a lot of squib kicks.
That's pretty good. I saw that the Patriots decided that the best thing would do was maybe to just kick it out and give it to him at the 35, and I thought, that's a pussy thing to do. Yeah. I mean,
Next question.
All right, next question would be: can Emmanuel Forbes succeed at a level to validate his draft status? Now, I don't mean that he should go to be like a Pro Bowl player this year, but can he look good out there on the field? Jesse, we know your answer, but go ahead anyway.
I'm going to say yes. And this has to do with Joe Witt and Dan Quinn. I think they're very, very good coaches. They've always had really good secondaries.
We know he can catch.
They both wanted him in Dallas last year. So I'm going to say, okay. And that's kind of, I'm hedging a little bit, because I liked him when we originally picked him, and it, kind of let me down this year. But I think coaching was a problem. So
coaching was his biggest problem. All right, Scott, what do you think?
I'm going to say no. And the reason I'm going to say no is I'm going to say he can contribute to this team, but can he make it as what is a first rounder? No, not in my opinion. I think he can contribute to this team, absolutely. Is he going to be anything like he was in college, returning touchdown, returning interceptions? Not for me. I think he'll do well. I think he will contribute heavily to the team, and I think he'll be a decent player. But I don't think he'll be a hater. He's not what you want out of a first round pick.
Well, to me,
in the same breath as Jamin Davis, he's not lived up to the hype of being a first round pick, has he?
All right. Well, to me, what he's got to do is at least be a starter. All right.
I agree.
You've got to be the number 1 or number 2 cornerback. You're out there on the field practically every play. That's what I say.
And he can do that.
I think he can. The thing I like about him is that he can catch. He's got good hands to be able to get in there and swat around at the ball. He's fearless in terms of coming down and tackle. He doesn't shy away from that shit. And those are the things that I like about him. I think that with Joe Witt back there and the way that the Cowboys have been able to take turnovers in the last couple of years and take them back to the house the way that they've been doing, I think that should rub off on him. And I think that what you'll see up in Dallas is that those guys, they're going to miss Joe Witt. And I think that when we look at our defensive backs and Witt likes guys that can catch, man, I can foresee that he can do well enough to at least remain our starter this year. All right, Deluxe, who's the safety that doesn't believe that we live in space? What's his name?
Tyler Owens. All
right, Deluxe says Tyler Owens.
The guy with the perfect RAS score. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. God, with his. Deluxe says not only flat Earth, but he thinks we live in a dome. So let me ask you this:
Absolutely crazy.
does this dude think that like when it snows, it gets somebody picks it up and turns it upside down, and we put this back down again?
We live in a snow
I
globe.
just put something in the chat there. I hope we play abroad next year so we can see a horizon. What a fucking numpty. But anyway, yeah, honestly, duh. But yeah,
He'll probably be scared of the plane. I mean, doesn't he think the plane's going to hit the dome?
no, I have no idea.
It's a dome. I mean, it's not the same size all the way.
You ever
across.
watch that show Under the Dome? Stephen
Yeah.
King wrote a book. It's good. A good show.
All right,
All right,
I'll
next
have to check
question.
that out.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Next question.
Simpsons did it.
Will Sam Cosmi make the Pro Bowl? Jesse.
Yeah, I think he will.
Yeah.
I think he
100%.
was played outstanding last year. He was the saving grace on our offensive line. He's gotten better and better every year. He's really found his niche at the guard position, and I think I think he could possibly make a All Pro.
I think second team All Pro is not out of the question. I do think he's a Pro Bowl player, Pro Bowl type player. However, it's up to us. We've all got to vote for Sam Cosmi 1,000 times, and we've all got to go on to X and put it in there at Sam Cosmi for Pro Bowl a fucking zillion times through the entire goddamn month of fucking October or whenever it is they do it. And, that way we can make sure that it happens. All right. Let's see. Which under the radar player will have a great season? Jesse, who's our under the radar guy?
Under the radar player I mentioned Jahan Dotson earlier. I'm going to go on the other side of the ball, and I'm going to say Armstrong is going to have a great season. I think he's going to get double-digit sacks.
Oh, that would be nice. Scotty, who's your under the radar player?
Under the radar player. That's a tough one actually. Because would you say Jeremy Chin's under the radar? I wouldn't say so.
I don't think the rest of when you look at it depends. When you're talking radar, I assume we're talking fan radar.
Yes.
And across the league, I don't think people are looking at Jeremy Chin too highly.
Yeah,
they're
I'll
not
go
down
with
on
Jeremy
him,
Chin.
but they're not going to think about it.
I'll go with Jeremy Chin. He was second on the listings for defensive rookie of the year when Chase Young won it that year. So he'll have a good season with us.
I'll tell you what. What's the guy who doesn't believe in space? What's his
Tyler
name?
Owens.
Tyler. Obviously, I don't believe in him. That's why I can't remember.
He's not going to make the team, guys.
No, I'm just wondering.
No, he's not.
What does he believe in radar?
Special teams.
How does he think that works? Does he think radar? Because if we're in a dome, radar can't possibly work. I'm going to go with Quan.
It's obviously FA, Brian. I mean, come on, he's comeback player of the year. That's different. But anyway,
Yeah, that's different. I'm going with Quan Martin, under the radar player. Will have a great season.
Shout.
I think he's
Great
fantastic. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. I think he's got excellent instincts. I think he's got good hands. I think he's a good tackler. And I think that he's going to start making some national headlines as the season progresses. That's what I say for Quan Martin. Let's see who will regress. I think Andy will regress. He'll start eating his boogers again.
Yeah.
All right. So who's going to regress?
That's a tough question. I'll say Terry McLaurin.
You got to look and see who actually played well last year. That's a hard thing to do.
It is.
I mean, McLaurin got his 1,000 yards, but he did not have a good season.
I still think McLaurin will break 1,000 yards, but I think it's not going to. Everybody's thinking McLaurin's going to turn into a top 10 receiver, and I don't think he's going to. I think McLaurin is who he is. He's going to hover around 1,200 yards, give or take, each and every year, and be solid. So I don't think fans seem to think he's going to get 1,500 yards. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think others are going to get involved. Jahan's going to play a big part in this offense. I think Eckler and Robinson, and then you have Luke McCaffrey. I just don't think Terry's going to prove to be that all pro wide receiver one that everybody thinks he's going to be.
Okay. All right. Is it my turn, Scotty? You already went.
Yeah, you go.
Oh fuck! I haven't even thought about it.
I haven't been, but I've got one.
Well, please go ahead, because I'm still trying to decide who the hell had a good enough season last year to make.
I'm not saying he had a good season, but I think he'll actually be our surprise cut, and that's Derek Forrest.
Okay, see, I'd look at Percy Butler before I looked at Derek Forrest. But
I think
I agree.
Percy's
I
supposed
agree.
to be having a hell of a camp.
hey, that's what I hear.
We
So we know that safety room is
Percy
pretty packed.
over. I agree with Scotty, and I put Percy over Forrest right now.
Forrest, I actually thought about in this regard because last year when we saw him play, I mean, the year before that he played really well. He got a bunch of. He was our number one interceptor, but last year he clearly fell back. But then again, I have to keep falling back on the coaching was so fucking bad on that defensive side. And I when I think of Derek Forrest right now, I see the play that we were all chatting about when we watched it happen against the Bears, where he looked to me like he was just confused, and he was confused because the linebacker didn't know what to do, and he was thinking, should I cover where the linebacker isn't supposed to be because he's not there? It was just and you could see it all right there in his head in that split second, and then DJ Moore blew by him, and that was that. So I could definitely see Forrest with a regression this year. Cut. That's a pretty bold.
I'll come on to. We'll come on to that. We'll do a bold hot take in a bit, but we'll come on to that at the end.
We got a whole fucking summer to get through. Save something. All right, let's see.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
Is our kicker on the roster
No.
today? I say no.
No way. Do you want the names of the kickers, John, that we've tried out?
Please, yes. Let's go. Official. Let's see here. Let me find my thing here. The official Bleeding Burgundy name pronouncer, Scott Hardley.
So this week we've had a tryout for kickers. So we have in the building Lucas Havasick.
Havasick sucked. I heard about his numbers the other day when he was kicking.
He was poor.
He missed from 31. He banged the upright on a 53.
Then we had a guy called Matt McCrane, who's had more teams than I've had hot dinners. And he's most recently been with the DC Defenders. And then we had your one who you wanted me to pronounce. It's Andre Schmidt is how it's pronounced. It's pronounced like it. Yeah, it's pronounced like the German Schmidt, like you would have an M in there, but it's spelt. It's got a Z in it anyway, but it's pronounced Schmidt because I looked it up and how you pronounce it. And he was on the Bears practice squad in 2023, and he's just had this season with the St. Louis Battlehawks in the UFL.
I was going to say, when you say he's been on all these teams, I'm like, who the hell is he?
The other guy, Matt McCrane, he's been on every
so I've never heard of him. He's been on a lot of teams that I've never heard of.
Honestly, it's so long, but they're all practice squads. In cut. It's ridiculous. I think I'm looking at his actual stats. He's got 67% kicking ratio. He's attempted 12 field goals with 8 successful, but he has hit every extra point while he's been on the field, which is 5 out of 5. Terrible kick.
Yeah, that's no good. So, I'm not going to go with
him. So the kicker isn't on the team. Is the answer to the question.
All right, Jesse, do you think the kicker's on the team?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I agree with you. We are not on the team. I got to go down here and find where we were on this thing. And here we talked about this a minute before. But will Andrew Wiley be a turnstile again, or will coaching help him? Go ahead, Jesse.
I think coaching will help him. I don't know how much, but I think it will help at least some.
Okay.
I think you have an okay season. He'll give up some sacks like every tackle does. But I'm hopeful that he won't be the turnstile he was at the beginning of the start of the season last year.
Turnstile
he was truly awful. Let's be honest.
Listen, turnstiles are better. I think. Remember, we saw Wiley warming up on. All right. So, will coaching help that? I don't know because. Seriously, he looked so effing lost last year. Guys were blowing around him and giving him these bad deeks, and he's falling all over the place. I guess if coaching can say, okay, stand on your 2 feet now, stand up, stay on them, stay on those feet, there you go, then I guess yes is the answer. I think that his money makes him our right tackle, and that's unfortunate. That's a legacy left behind by a regime that we really want to try to forget.
Scheme plays a lot into this, though, as well, John. Yeah,
I would hope so, because it seemed to me like every time the scheme said you block that fucking guy coming around the end, he couldn't do it.
No, he couldn't. You're absolutely correct.
No, not at all. I mean, I don't want to be beating on a dead horse or anything. Was the most action we saw out of him last year. All right, let's see here. Who is our strongest and deepest position group? Go ahead, Scotty.
I think our strongest and deepest position group is probably linebacker now.
Yeah.
It sounds weird. It's gone from absolutely nothing to being, well, actually, this isn't too bad. I mean, you could probably say defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle, we thought so, but those guys have underperformed.
But I mean, when we're talking deepest position, I mean, on their day, Jonathan Allen, Jerome Payne, Jason Newton is a deadly from
You would hope
then
so.
Then you have Ridgeway, Phil Mathis. That's a clear cut for me. I think he's gone. He's been awful. But yeah, and behind that, I don't know who else we have. We've got Ben Potato still. I think. I don't know.
I think he might. I'm not sure if he's there or not. Jesse, who's your deepest and strongest position group?
We don't have a deep position group. Our strongest may be the linebackers, but they're not deep. One either Luvu or Wagner goes down, we're going to be in trouble again. I would have to say safeties. I like our safety room.
I agree.
I do think we have depth in our safety room.
Yeah.
Jeremy Chin. You got Forrest. Say what you want about Forrest. He didn't have a great year last year, but he does have talent.
He got hurt.
Quan Martin, Butler, Revis. So I think that probably is definitely
Revis. I think you were getting a little dreamy there.
Reeves. Sorry, Reeves.
I'd love Revis in our secondary room. Yeah, maybe not now. He's probably 40 now. But...
Reeves.
Cornholio.
Yeah, I think
not
that's our,
Beavis.
I think our it's funny because I was just watching Butthead earlier.
Wow, that's a 90s reference. Good for you, man.
I do think it's our deepest position group.
I agree. Yeah. Safety's our deepest position group. And I think it's got good players in it. And I think Forrest can bounce back. We've seen what he's capable of, and I think with good coaching, he'll bounce back. I think that's you might be right. He might be a surprise cut because that's a deep room. Somebody's going to have to, it's not going to keep everybody up in there. I forget the fuck y'all were talking about a minute ago, but I had a joke lined up in my head and it flew right out the window because question number 20 is John too old to know how to podcast? And this show has been a good example of why that might be true. All right, let's see. Who's going to be our training camp darling that everyone roots for? Who is our Samus Reyes this year?
I think Yankoff.
Yankoff.
Wow, good shout.
I think everybody just likes to say that.
Yankoff, or I think Luke McCaffrey is going to be one of those that everybody's going to fall in love with.
See, when I think camp darling, I'm thinking of a guy that's McCaffrey's making the team.
I know what you mean.
McCaffrey's making the team. Right,
someone at the bottom of the roster, yeah.
Somebody, the bubble guy,
that other receiver. What's his name?
Jack Saint.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack Saint.
Yeah.
That's who I was
he makes a couple of plays in preseason, he could be our next Cam Sims. And I'll tell you what, I just can't wait until Joe Theismann is on television doing the preseason games saying Yankoff.
I don't know if he's doing it no more. I think Brian Mitchell took that over.
Yeah. I tell you what, Brian Mitchell's like a weed. Not a fan. He was a great return man, but I don't like his style when it comes to doing that.
I'm going to go Michael Wiley, an undrafted free agent running back who's already making noise.
Really? See, here's the thing. I think you just looked that up so you could sound smart.
Yeah, I did. I got it off my notes from yesterday. Exactly. Where's the ding?
That's right. Scott checked his list. Oh, wait, wrong thing.
The timing was terrible. Come on, John.
I'm sorry. I got this music playing and all that other stuff here. We're towards the end of the show. So don't give me a bunch of shit. All right. Who's our training camp darling this year? I think it might be McGee. It could be McGee. Yeah, it could be McGee. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. All right. Now, biggest question of all. Have we found a quarterback?
100% yes. I'm all in.
I'm all in. Let's see how it translates. I just said earlier in this podcast, I think the only thing standing in his way is a possible injury. And I'm not predicting injury. I don't think that he's all that small. In looking at him out there next to his teammates, I don't really think he's all that small to play football. But, The only thing that I think can slow him down is if he has a couple of injuries that fuck up his leg or something like that. So let's hope he stays upright. And I think that we have found a quarterback. I believe in the way he throws the ball, which sounds kind of weird, but when you see the accuracy that he's shown in the past, and then I like I said, you see a spiral like that, and you see that spiral on every effing throw. That is where that accuracy comes from. He's got such a beautiful over-the-shoulder motion. I mean, it comes right over the top. Unitas-like. So, yeah, I'm all in on him. What about you, Jesse?
I'm going to reserve judgment until training camp. I'm going to lean possibly, but listen, we're throwing against air here. And I love it.
Yeah, you're right.
I like everything that we've seen so far.
Right. The spiral to me is what I saw this week. That when you see the accuracy, you see the arm strength that we've seen in all the film that he's done against, other teams. These are why those things exist, man, because he's able to throw such a nice ball. That's what I really like. So, all right. Do we have any other questions left? I do believe that is number 20.
All right.
How about anybody out there in the chat? You guys have any questions? How big is Scott's? No, we talk about that too much.
Forehead.
Yeah, we talk about that too much. How big is Scott's forehead? Now, you did say something last week that I found interesting, Scott. You never wear a hat.
No, it's because I wore a beret for 13 years, so I don't wear a hat.
You just can't find one that will fit on it.
No, I haven't got a massive head. I've just got a 10 head, not a forehead. It's just the way that my hair is receding. I mean, I need to go to Turkey, which actually I'm going on holiday to Turkey this year. So maybe I could actually schedule in a hair transplant.
Okay. I think in Turkey they make you wear Speedos on the beach. So if you're wearing a Speedo on the beach, Scott, we definitely need photos.
No, I'm not doing that. Speedos.
No,
with this body, come on. I'm not Jesse Martin over there or Keith.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you go to the football game and the baseball game, if we're going to a Nationals game the day before, which I think we should go to an Orioles game, but if we're going to the Nationals game and the football game the next day, and you're going to be out in the sun that long, I would definitely recommend a hat because it definitely beats on you here.
Well, look, I'll take one. I'll take one with me. I took one last year. I did wear one, but routinely.
Now, what about your galoshes? Do you wear a condom now during sex, or you've been snipped?
Oh, dude, I'm a neutered cat, so it's absolutely fine.
A neutered cat. There you go.
I was neutered at 27, so
tell you what,
it's all good.
I bet you probably don't yell near that hedge anymore, do you?
No,
you ain't out there howling at the hedge.
I don't hang out there, no. marking my territory.
That's right. All right, then. I think we're all done. Jesse, you got anything left?
No, does Scott have a list?
Scott, do you have a list for the week?
I don't have a list this week because we're doing 20 questions. So.
That's a big list. So, yeah, we can just go ahead and say that for the week, that's Scott's list of the week.
That is genius. That is a genius picture, though, to be fair. I do like that. What are we going to do for the next 6 weeks? That's the other thing. It's like, there's nothing happening.
That's what I plan to do.
All right, cool. There's got to be some funny stuff that we could do, or I don't know.
Gonna whack my seal. Well, I'll tell you what. I will be traveling here shortly, so I won't. I don't think I'll be on next week. No, I won't be on next week. So
I don't think we're going to do one next week.
Next week off, and then we'll reconvene in 2 weeks.
Now, y'all say this, but I know what's going to happen. I'll go away, and y'all have like Dan Quinn will be on the show.
I was just about to say, we'll get some other guests.
Scheduling Adam Peters.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's all for us this time. And I know, last time I promised this after every show. I'm going to get better at how we open this show. Today, it was not my fault. It was their fault with their fucking earphones and all that kind of shit.
Actually, it turned
really
out to be your fault.
I never did anything that was different up until today, and all of a sudden today there was a problem. I mean, is this the way it is? Is there anything else you boys want to tell me? All right, we're not going to go there. So until a couple of weeks from now, we'll see you.
Ta-ta.
Cheerio, boys.